keep an open body posture, show your torso, keep your shoulders back and your arms visible. Don't sit like this, which I like to do.
Right. She said nothing in front of you, nothing blocking you. Stay open.
Show your palms as
Yes,
as you
right.
can, especially when you first are meeting someone. So even whether that's on Zoom or you're meeting someone in person, display the fact that there's nothing in your hand as early in the interaction as you can. I thought that was really interesting. Welcome to the Mindfully Masculine podcast. This is Charles. Today, Dan and I are diving into one of the most value-packed conversations we've ever heard on the Diary of a CEO. It's Stephen Bartlett's interview with behavioral investigator and body language expert Vanessa Van Edwards, and it is packed with concrete, actionable advice on how to communicate better in every area of life. We're not just talking theory here. This episode is all about steps you can actually take, how to project warmth and competence, use body language intentionally, and build stronger personal and professional relationships by mastering the signals you send. You can find the full video and audio version of this episode along with every past episode of Mindfully Masculine at our website, mindfullymasculine.com. Thanks and enjoy.
Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Dan. How you doing?
I'm well. And you?
I'm doing okay. So you and I watched a long video, Diary of a CEO podcast. We were looking at some of his most popular episodes, and he did one with Vanessa Van Edwards that was, frankly, one of the most value-rich conversations I've ever seen, because, and to her, I give her all the credit for it. I mean, he's a great interviewer and stuff, but
he didn't do a whole lot of talking.
She was so prepared. I mean, she knew pretty much minute by minute exactly what she was going to say, what she was going to recommend, what she was going to cover. I mean, it was one of the most well-organized interviews I've ever seen because, he did not have a ton to do. And he was answering as many questions from her as he was asking of her. So, she was exquisitely prepared for that interview. And I really appreciate somebody that goes to that level of preparation.
And she made it interesting, too. The points, there were all different types of stories, all different types of scenarios, she really brought it all together.
Yeah, I will certainly share a link to the original interview that we're about to talk about, because I would say, we're going to cover some of the high points, but it is worth it to just watch her cook and go through all the stuff she knows about communication and body language and vocal communication and all that stuff. You can get so much better at your communication with other humans just by knowing what you should do and what you should avoid and practicing it. And, and she mentions, like, so many of us have this idea of, I'm either a good communicator or a bad communicator. And it's like, that's all based on what you do, and what you do is based on what you know, and what you know is based on what you've learned and what you've practiced. So it's like your current level of communication proficiency has very little to do with who you are and all to do with what you do. And you can choose to do new things to make yourself better at it. When I was at Podcast Movement out in Dallas this year, I had a conversation with a gal who was very active in Toastmasters and was really encouraging me to get active myself. And she gave great advice. She's like, what you're going to want to do is go and sample. If you're anywhere near a big city, there's going to be a ton of meetings and a ton of chapters, and you should go check out all of them before you decide which one to invest your time in, and see who the people are, see what the style is, see all that stuff, and then get involved with one that sort of matches what you're looking for, and just go and practice, get better and better at communicating with people. And I think it's about time I should go ahead and do that, because I do want to get better at communication, and this has inspired me to take some concrete steps to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Vanessa even said on the podcast that success is required, or communication is required for success in general. Any type of success requires great communication skills. And the level of success that you get is really dependent on, this is like the factor to work on to improve your success rate in any scenario.
It's really hard to think about any job, any personal goal, any personal relationship that you can't get better at and have higher quality participation in by becoming a better communicator. Like, I really can't think of anything that you don't get better at by being a better communicator, because when your verbal and written communication, and this mostly focuses on verbal and body language, but when your communication gets better and more disciplined and more intentional, your thoughts get more disciplined and intentional as well.
The point she made was that it doesn't matter how smart you are, what you know, if you can't communicate that to somebody else, or you can't get along with other people, it's almost wasted at that point, because nobody is going to be receptive or open to hearing how smart you are, all the ideas you have, or how brilliant you might be, and the value that you
Yeah.
are able to bring to other people, the world, is going to be lost if you can't express that and other people don't want to hear it.
Yeah, there was one point where she was discussing how in order to get your thoughts across in a persuasive way, you have to, there's sort of a table or a matrix that she laid out about competence and warmth, and how if you are not, I guess it was 4 quadrants, where if you were low competence and low warmth, nobody wanted to hear from you. If you were high competence and low warmth, then yes, you'll have good ideas that people will just not be persuaded by. If you're too high in warmth and too low in competence, then it'll feel like you're being a little too,
And a little bit like flighty, a little like
Yeah.
airhead,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Little like all over the place type of, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he's
There's-
sweet, but he doesn't have a thought in his head, that kind of thing. And then if you're even too high on competence and too high on warmth, then I think that's when she said you can come across as being like a little too salesy and a little too inauthentic, like you're trying too hard. And so just finding a balance between those and learning where that balance is for you based on, in part, your natural energy. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Are you an ambivert? And I was not familiar with ambivert very much before this. I had heard of introverted extrovert and probably extroverted introvert before, but it didn't really hold a lot of meaning for me. Like, okay, so you don't feel like you fit into either one of them completely. Congratulations, good for you. None of us do. But when she went into ambiversion, I was like, oh my gosh, that is definitely me to a T. Where and that lines up with my Myers-Briggs as well, because based on the mood I'm in when I take it, the E and the I can kind of flip-flop on me. Sometimes I'm an I, sometimes I'm an E.
So why don't you explain to the audience what ambivert means?
An ambivert, as I understood it from what she explained, was in the right sort of environment and scenario, you can get energy from your interactions with other people. Where in the wrong environment or the wrong scenario, you will be absolutely drained from having to deal with people.
Yeah.
And that really, that is me dead on.
Yeah.
If I'm in a situation where I feel comfortable, I feel competent, and it doesn't even have to be like, oh, well, yeah, everybody feels good hanging out with their friends. Like, no, I could be hanging out with strangers or people I don't know very well. But if it's a setting where I feel comfortable, I know what to expect, I know what level of participation is required of me, then I can still have a really exciting, really fun time. But if I'm in a scenario or a situation where I just feel like, okay, I'm doing this because I have to, or I'm doing this because I've convinced myself that I should do it, then my impulse is going to be shrink down into my phone and just ignore the world around me and just spend my time just thinking about things I enjoy thinking about instead of interacting with people that I don't want to interact with.
Yeah, it's interesting. She made the point, speaking of distractions and looking at phones, she made the point of AirPods being basically such a danger to people's communication skills and the connections that we make with people. By everybody wearing AirPods, there's a lot less casual interaction that people will have with each other because they are so focused on what they're listening to. And she says now in the gym, if you see somebody without AirPods, you're like, what's wrong with that person? It's weird to see people without listening to something. But what she said was, it was those little interactions when you walk by somebody and it's like, oh, hey, what's up? Oh, how's your weekend type of thing. But if they got AirPods in, it sends these signals that we don't want to be bothered. Right? We don't kind of talk to us. We're kind of on our own thing. And then you feel like you're interrupting somebody if they have AirPods in. One of the parts of the podcast that I guess Stephen was speaking at a big conference and like 1,000 people there, and he's taking audience questions, and a guy in the front, a young man, stands up and he's just like, hey, I got a question. How do you make friends? And as adults, and they talked about that, as adults, it's difficult for us to make friends because we're not with the same people all the time, like we are in grade school or
Right.
or in high school, where we have the same classes and we see the same people over and over again. So that small talk is just kind of happens naturally. It's like, I'm going to buy a pencil or the pen or whatever, and as adults, we don't have that many opportunities where we're going to the same places, seeing the same faces. So that small talk, finding that common ground, the real innocent, hey, how's your weekend type of thing. That was one of Vanessa's pieces of advice, or what's coming up for you this weekend. It sounds so simple, but a lot of us, like, we don't, some people are, I'm amazed. I see some people in the gym, some who are brilliant at it. They are just so natural at making small talk and conversations and things. And it's but they don't, but if you saw it, oh, you're thinking about you trying to
correct. Yeah.
Right. But what's nice is by also having the headphones out, I get to see great examples of people who are so naturally conversational and gifted at creating conversations and building new relationships. It starts to kind of rub off on you a little bit. And, and then you realize, okay, this is not so hard. It's not so difficult, right? As an adult, to try to make some friends. And granted, I haven't made any like great friends out of any of this just yet.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling more and more comfortable and more recognized at the gyms.
Yeah, I think guys in particular do have a little bit of a challenge when it comes to going from small talk to, asking another guy to hang out recreationally together for the first time. Like,
yeah.
Hey man, why don't we go get dinner sometime?
Okay, so I would never do that. I would basically be talking about.
I would do that if I had repeated interactions with somebody at some point.
Down the road,
man, that's a cool guy. I'd like to get to know him better.
But the first interaction,
right?
The first interaction would be like, hey, I'm going to, or me and my girlfriend are going to, if they have,
that makes sense. Yeah,
going to this event this weekend. Yeah. We're going to this event. Oh, we're going to this event. And then maybe there's shared interest, or you both end up going to the same event because you're kind of local.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, let's meet up. And then you meet up there, and
that's
then,
true.
And then at that point, then after that, you can ask them out on a one-on-one dinner date. So,
yeah. I've not made a new guy friend and turned it into a let's go out one-on-one. God, I can't remember the last time I did that. No, I think I do that. Like going out one-on-one for dinner you're probably my newest friend that I've got one out dinner, and we met in 2007.
Right. Same. So thing is, it's like I would do it after I've hung out with a bunch of guys in a group a few times.
Sure.
Doing one-on-one with any of them that I clicked with, no problem at that point. But I wouldn't lead with, let's.
No, I agree. I agree about the not leading with that. That does make sense. Yeah. Who's your newest friend that you've done a one-on-one dinner with?
You.
Seriously?
Probably. I mean, Kurt, I didn't do dinner with, but we've gone and gotten like coffee together, and we went to like a very casual restaurant at one point.
It was just the two of you though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did that a couple of times.
I don't think I've ever done that one-on-one with Kurt.
But it was like one of those things where like Kurt walks in, it was a place that Kurt knew, and he knows everybody, the owner and the waitress and everybody else there too. So it wasn't really like a group thing, but there were so many people that he knew there that it was still really, it really kind of wasn't like a one-on-one where we have dinner together or we'll go to a place that we don't know.
Gotcha.
These are places like Kurt knew people.
There was a guy I met a few years after you. My buddy Don. We've gone out for meals together, just one-on-one, the two of us.
Okay.
And I met him probably in 2012, I'd say.
So, all right.
A little bit newer than you.
All right.
So it's still crazy though. Was that 13 years ago? That's my newest friend that I'm comfortable enough to go to dinner with one-on-one. That's interesting. I wonder, I'll have to talk to my gal pals and see like if they meet new people and stuff like that.
I think girls do a lot more. Well, at least
frequently.
Or I should say that's not true. I should say the girls that I've known have been much more social and have that natural gift of connecting with people much more than I do. And maybe that's part of the reason why I'm attracted to them is it's something I admire in them and I'm learning a little bit of something from them. My current girlfriend is amazing at that. She connects with people in her sleep, basically. I mean, she's such a natural and people are just drawn to her and gravitate towards her. And it's just,
I could not handle that, man. Just having her, love that. Having a girl who's her own extroversion is just bringing all these other people into my life because I'm around her.
That's what makes it easy for me. Once somebody is in, like we talked about like getting in the door with other things the other day or this morning. For me, it's the same thing. It's once somebody is like in the circle, like I'm great. I'm no problem talking, communicating, whatever. If somebody has like broken the ice and brought somebody into our little circle or a group of people, I'm totally comfortable at that point. But for me, my challenge has always been bringing complete strangers and making those initial connections strong enough to where they are now becoming part of our circle. And so that's not something that I've got a lot of skill in.
Yeah. No, me neither. And I think my long relationships have been with introverted women. Yeah, I think that's true, but I'll have to talk.
People that I know that you have relationships with, absolutely
Interesting. All right, let's, and we both have our own set of notes here, so I am fine with you just bringing up the next thing you'd like to talk about that interests you, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth till we run out of time.
No problem. Let's see here. Absolutely. The interviews of somebody had done a study of all different high school kids, right? I think that high school
about that. Yeah. What makes somebody popular?
What
does popular people have in common?
And that's not something it was obvious to me. The answer was not obvious to me. Stephen was guessing it was athletic.
Yeah, I like the way that she
self-deprecating,
opened it with him. Like, why don't you guess what you think the most common trait across popular kids are? What do you think it is? And he threw out some ideas and stuff, and he was nowhere near, just like I was nowhere near. So tell everybody, what is it that makes kids popular? Or what do all the kids that are popular, what do they all have in common?
They had the longest list of people they like.
Insane.
And I thought back to the popular kids in my school, and that wasn't always the case. Well, no, actually, just because you're popular. So somebody might have been a good athlete, but he's a little bit of a douchebag. So he was popular with some of the other athletes because he was like funny. But some of the more popular people, he never would have won like Homecoming King or anything else.
I was going to just say like Homecoming King, Homecoming Queen.
So he was a little cocky and arrogant and funny, but he definitely did not like a lot of people. But the people who did, and both girls and guys, absolutely fit that mold of they were out in the hallway saying, hey Bob, hey Susan, hey Joe, how's your weekend? Just like walking through and making those little connections. And lots of people liked them because they clearly liked other people.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I felt like she was talking to you and I when she's like, sorry for all the people who are like, oh, I don't like other people, or like complain about other people and stuff a lot. And as much as I do, I feel like at least hearing that has opened me up to looking for more things to like in other people, at least.
Interesting. I mean, the first thing I thought when I heard it was like, okay, I guess I don't need to be popular because I'm not going to start trying to tell myself to like people that I don't like. But I would agree that the most the really top tier, most popular people I went to school with were often described as, oh, he's a nice guy, or she's a sweet girl. It was always like something that was the main descriptor of them. It was about their disposition and how they got along with people.
Right.
Often they also happen to be, if not good looking, at least cute. The positive personality. And I think they probably, if you were to survey them, they probably would have had a long list of people that they liked.
And that probably gave them some of the confidence to go and be a little bit more extroverted and talk to people and engage with people. And the reason why it's important, not just to be, not to be popular, but what she said was they've done other studies and said that the people who are the most successful in life are also the ones who are liked the most. So this is it's not necessarily just because you want to be popular, but the ones that people want to do business with, want to connect with, they are likable people. And the way to become likable is to like other people, right? Is to be interesting. You should be interested.
Yes, I like both of those. One of the points I wanted to talk about was keeping an open body posture, show your torso, keep your shoulders back and your arms visible. Don't sit like this, which I like to do.
Right. She said nothing in front of you, nothing blocking you. Stay open.
Show your palms as
yes,
fast as you
right.
can, especially when you first are meeting someone. So even whether that's on Zoom or you're meeting someone in person, display the fact that there's nothing in your hand as early in the interaction as you can. I thought that was really interesting. Naturally, if I am, especially like if I'm like in a group meeting and there's one person presenting and I'm like considering what they're saying, this is one of my more natural positions to take. So good for me in that. The other thing that blew my mind was when she said, if you want to appear both engaged and confident, maximize the distance between your shoulders and your earlobes.
Yeah. That was a weird one too. I was like, what?
But then I started acting it out and I'm like, she's absolutely right.
Where if you're like this.
Yeah, if you're like this, it's like, oh no, I'm waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah.
Where if
You're relaxed and
and kind of
spread out. Right.
yeah, shoulders sort of rolled back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that does feel so much more just open to whatever is coming my way. And yeah, I never even heard of that or considered that before, but it's like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense.
The other one that really kind of blew my mind a little bit was when people pass each other in the hall. At least she said it was with men and not necessarily with women. If you greet someone and you raise up your head, say, what's up? Or hello, it's somebody that you know. Whereas if it's somebody you don't know, morning, you might put your head down.
Yeah.
And the reason was by lifting your chin up, you're actually showing that you're vulnerable to them and that they're familiar and you feel you trust them because you're exposing your neck. And so many of these tips come from us from thousands of years ago as cave people. Yeah. Same thing with the palms. You're showing you are a friend. You're not hiding anything. Yeah. And even when you like walk into a room and you see somebody, you show them your palm.
Yeah.
That what's up? Where that comes from. It's so interesting to me. Why you should not keep your hands under the table. Why it activates something in our amygdala.
You know, that was an action item I took away for the podcast, which is right now, my camera, hello folks, and your camera, we have these mounted onto the table. So you and I have to be very conscious about not resting our arms on the table because when we do, it shakes the cameras. I think I'm going to move the cameras back to the tripods so that
we can shake the table.
We can basically, she recommended, pulling the chair all the way up to the table. And based on what she did say, we are already at the optimal distance we should be from each other to have the conversation. Right. Which I'm happy about that. But yeah, pulling the chair all the way up, not having arms on the chairs, and then being able to kind of lean into each other while we talk. I think I'm going to, I've had the rewire the studio on my action item list for a long time. And I think it's going to be time to do that pretty soon and move the cameras off to, I messed up the shot. I was a little too close. Based on where the cameras currently are. But I do want to move the cameras off and then maybe also might look at some different solutions for the microphones too, because right now, even the microphones being on the desk may be a little bit jostled by if we decide to put our elbows on the table. Okay. So I may look at putting a hole in the desk and then having a mic stand from the floor come up through the desk or something like that, so that even if the desk is touched, it doesn't impact our sound. Interesting. And see if that might give us a little more flexibility with how we sit and how we communicate. But yeah, that was great stuff that she shared. I also like the idea of when it comes, she said all the great TED talkers move their hands a ton when they're talking. Yeah. And I think that's a great idea. I think, and I typically do tend to do that when I am speaking on a topic that I'm either excited about or really prepared for, or ideally both, right? But she did say that you have to gesture within the trust window, where if your gestures are too low, like if your hands are too low and you're moving them around, it communicates weakness. Yeah. And if you raise your hands too high when you're talking, it makes you seem manic. So there's like a certain range that your hands should be in while you're talking and while you're gesturing.
Makes sense.
For people to feel good about it and not feel weird or awkward.
But when you think about it, absolutely makes sense. But it goes to show how much of this is intuitive in us and human beings,
without us even realizing it. But the brilliant thing is you can figure out why you feel a certain way about somebody, and you might be able to give them another chance, because you might say, okay, look, they're maybe, they're good people, but they seem a little bit crazy because their hands are all over here. But that's such a minor thing. And you might not then shut them out right away. You might give them another chance and go, okay, look, it's just a little, it's a little quirk, right? I'm not going to dismiss this whole person, even though I feel weird. I know why I feel weird. It's because they're doing this, and they're maybe not intentionally doing that, right?
Right. But it is possible that it will slow down how quickly, you might adapt to them or get comfortable around them. And that can have impact on both professional and personal relationships, where it's like, somebody has a little tick they do with their body language that just does kind of rub you the wrong way a little bit. Yeah. You might not just write them off and say, I'm never going to, hang out with them again, but it could be, all right, well, our friendship progression or our romantic progression, it's going to be a little slower because of this kind of weird thing. So it's important to, like you said, recognize those things in other people and just understand, okay, I feel a little bit strange about this because they do this in a way that's a little off-putting, but also look for those things in yourself to figure out what you're doing that is, could be a little off-putting, and again, not necessarily made in your shit. Yeah.
That you don't realize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where it's important to have, friends that you can talk to about stuff like this and ask them, like, hey, what's the thing I do that puts people off? Because I remember when I asked you about that, and no surprise, it's like, you're on your phone too much, Charles. Like, yeah, you're right, I am.
Yeah. I mean, so it also kind of, I think it hints at the other piece that she was talking about when it comes to relationships, was that when you don't know how somebody feels about you, that is actually worse than when you know somebody doesn't like you, or when you know you don't like somebody else. They did that study saying, because it saps so much energy, you trying to figure out, I feel like I should like this, like you're ambivalent about this person. I feel like I should have lunch with them, but I kind of don't want to, and I'm not sure why. And she said that is much worse for our mental health than it is, I don't like that person, because you've got that answer already, or that person's toxic, whatever it is. I think that looking at being aware of all of these body language cues that we can have might give us a clue as to why I don't feel close to that person for some reason.
Right.
And the dangerous thing with that is, she said, you can then send signals back to them. So we're seeing maybe their hands are all crazy,
right,
and we're like, oh, there's something a little bit weird. And so I just felt myself in my face sneer a little bit just talking about this, right? So now you're sending them signals that you don't kind of like them. And then before that, then they send a signal back that they don't like you. And now it becomes a vicious cycle. And for some reason, for no real obvious reason, you just don't like that person. They don't like you. And you've had very little interaction. And so I feel if you're aware of these, these other body language things, you might be able to avoid that a little bit, or circumvent it, or at least settle on, I know I don't like that person, or yes, I definitely like that person. Because she said, and I forgot exactly why it was such a bad thing, other than it just saps a lot of your time and energy, your mental energy, thinking about this person and worrying about this relationship with this person, because you just don't know how they feel.
Yeah, I would say that, I don't know. I will push back a little bit to say that if someone has body language that makes you feel awkward, could be for a good reason.
Oh yeah.
Meaning they have developed that body language based on their own experiences. And, if somebody is communicating to me that they have high anxiety, for example, through their body language, then, when it comes to dividing up into groups for group projects, I may not want to join the group that they're going to be in charge of, because they've built a life of communicating their high anxiety state to people through their body language. And it's like, okay, I don't have anything against you. I don't dislike you. But when it comes to, a grade or a work project that I'm going to be accountable for, I don't know that I necessarily want to, jump onto your ship and let you be the captain.
And what she was saying was, that's a better state to be in than not knowing. Like, what my point is, I'm saying, yeah, this is important stuff to learn, because you now know, all right, this body language is what's throwing me off. I'm not, whereas you might be in one of these group situations where you feel social pressure. to team up with that person, even though they're giving you the ick, right?
Yeah.
By learning this stuff, we know, okay, why are they giving me the ick? And because I have the ick, all right, I know they're not my people, right? And then that you can kind of go find somebody else, right?
Okay, so another point that I want to talk about was, have you ever noticed that like sometimes you'll be talking to people and at the end of every sentence, they'll finish it with an up note instead of a down note?
No, I haven't.
Dan, I got to tell you, man, I listen to a lot of podcasts where a lot of professors and doctors and experts and authors are being interviewed to talk about something that they are at the top of their field in. And while they're talking about this thing that they know more about potentially than anybody else, they'll still always answer their question.
I need to listen for that.
With an up.
Oh my God, I need to listen.
It's like, I don't trust anything you're telling me right now because you're asking me for permission to say
a question.
I hate it so much. And she points out that one of the things that made President Obama such a good orator was he dramatically did the opposite, where he answered questions with a down note.
Yes.
And it's like, I never noticed that is what he did, but yeah, that really does when, you're declaring things, you're not asking things.
Right. And that also puts it the end of the sentence. You're the one that's controlling.
Yes.
Right. You're ending the thought, the interaction at that point with that down statement.
Yeah. I thought that was, I mean, number one, she reinforced the fact of why it is that I hate Uptalk so much, but brand new exposure to the idea of downspeak or downtalk.
Mm-hmm.
I had never known that was the opposite version of it. And I never realized that that's what makes some of the people that we consider to be great orators feel like great orators,
right?
Because they're finishing on that down note. So that was huge. I really appreciated that one. The other thing that I picked up on was talking about, I forget the name that she used, but it was something you do with your lower lids. Was it squint or a compression? I forget the language that she used.
I don't remember.
But you're doing it right now. You basically,
I just have small eyes.
You close your eyes a little bit and it helps you focus on things that are further away from you.
Okay.
I think she called it like lower lid compression or lower lid. And when you do it, it looks like you're more focused and you're more paying attention. It's also a thing you do every time you get your portraits done professionally, like headshots. That's always something that the photographer tells me to do, is kind of, just do that little thing with the lower lids of your eyes.
So another one that I really liked was the sweat exercise that she talked about, the experiment, where they had a bunch of heavy sweaters. One of them went to the gym and one wearing like sweat shirts and everything. Another one went skydiving. And they then took those different sweatshirts or whatever they were wearing and had people sitting in an MRI machine smell the different whether it was from the gym, from the gym or jumping out of the plane. The ones when they smelled the sweat from the gym, there was no change in their brain. When they smelled the sweat from somebody jumping out of the plane, it lit up their amygdala and their fear. And so what the fear part of their brain. And what she said is a lot of times we can smell fear on other human beings. So when you walk into a room and you're scared, you're giving off these pheromones that are signaling that you are scared, and that basically gets other people to feel a little anxious and a little uncomfortable,
right? Because
they're literally smelling the fear in you. And it's just like, wow, we really are animals, but that's so amazing to me because it could
be quantified that way.
So right, but it's such a, like, to me, an invisible superpower. I feel, right, like every time a year, like when we can't like see it or measure it exactly or have a direct effect on it, but then to have it validated through like the MRI, that's brilliant to me. It reminds me of one of the other books I think we were talking about, or somebody I talked about, where they would have different dating. They'd be at t-shirt parties where they would have,
I think that was Atomic Attraction.
Yeah, where basically people would wear t-shirts, send it into the people organizing the dating party. Right. All the people would go there and they would smell different t-shirts. And then they would match people up based on what smells they liked. What they responded to, and they said it was like a 70% success rate in terms of people going on and actually having dates and connecting afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, I love that stuff. I geek out on it.
I would
So-
never
so
do that.
cool.
A million.
So-
Smell this shirt. I did like the little cheat code. She specifically said don't do this, and she shared it more on based of, watch out if somebody's trying to do this to you, so you can recognize it and don't be taken in by it. I assume most people that listen to it are not going to think of it that way. They're going to think, oh, I got to try this and see if it actually works.
Yeah.
It was gesture like this when you're talking to someone, when you want to persuade them of something being true. Do this with your hand where you're rotating it with a couple fingers out in a forward motion while you nod your head.
And it will cause them to start nodding their head.
And when they start nodding their head, their brain will start making, because it's so interesting.
Finding ways to agree with you.
Yes, your thoughts can follow your actions and your actions can follow your thoughts. That works both directions. And that's something that a lot of us don't realize, is that, when you put the smile on your face, it can actually make you feel happier. Just like when you feel happy, it puts a smile on your face. It works in both directions. So yeah, trying to do this with people when you want to persuade them and get them to agree with you.
Yep.
And I think she did mention how you have to do it at the right tempo, because if you do it too fast,
It was kind of like get it over
like,
with.
yeah, get to the point, hurry up.
Yep.
But if you do it, at a kind of,
She even said that if you're out in a group and you're trying to meet somebody and have somebody come over and talk to you, you see somebody cute from across the room, you can gesture in their direction. So if there was like a cute girl over there and I wanted her to come talk to me, you can kind of do when you're having a conversation, you can kind of bring them in. Yeah. So you're not even looking at them, but you can gesturing in their direction. If they're looking over at you at any point, that is really an open signal for them to come over and then talk to you.
One last thing I wanted to ask you your opinion about, because I kind of disagreed with her on one thing that I heard her say, which was asymmetrical smiling.
Yeah.
Number one, she said fake smiles are bad. And a fake smile is when you smile with your mouth, but not your eyes. So there needs to be some activation of the muscles on the sides of your eyes in order for a smile to look real.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that 100%. There's, plenty of people and plenty of pictures. You can see that person's fake smiling. It's very clear. And, they went through the exercise with Steven where, poor guy, I just wanted to scream at him through, space and time and the computer. Like, just think about laughing at something. The smile that you have on your face when you're actually laughing at something is usually your best smile. Right. So whenever I pose for a picture and I have to smile with an open mouth, my teeth showing, I laugh about something. And when I laugh about something, that's how I look the best. An asymmetrical smile where you just kind of put one side of your mouth up, I like that. I think it looks good on me and other people. I think of it as kind of mischievous and like, oh, he's got a secret, or he knows something, or he or she's having some fun about something. They're thinking about something. They're bemused. She kind of made it sound like a smirk is never the right move. And I kind of disagree with that.
I think
that's the impression I got.
Yeah. I can see is, I don't think it's that big of a deal if you've got like a smirk or whatever, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, if persons are attractive, or
that's your only smile, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you do,
especially, if it's one picture, I think she was talking about profile pictures and like how, because Stephen was talking about a friend who he's really trying to help find a partner.
Her Instagram's full of pictures of her holding a glass.
Yeah.
A cocktail.
Right. And I think they were just kind of going through some good ideas of creating profile pictures and things, and where she said, that's when she said not to do an asymmetrical smile. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal as long as you maybe have some normal smiles and you're not looking like the Joker, in every single one. Yeah. I think that's fine. But she also made a great point where, and I think you've even said this too, is like what you lead with is really what people are going to think that's, or what or somebody else might have said this, but whatever you lead with is what is going to attract people to you. And then you need to maintain that. So if you're like looking all sexy and you've got like you've got a bikini on in your profile picture and you're like, why can't I meet a man who wants me as a girlfriend and have a relationship? Well, you're leading with sex. So that's what they're looking for. But she made a point of you should be leading with the things that really you could see yourself doing with that other person. So whatever those hobbies are. So horseback riding, or you're going out to a museum, or just take pictures of you doing those things.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, her theory was that the person looking at that picture will say, oh, I want to do those things with that person too.
Right.
And consider the pictures that you've got on your profile in terms of attracting the people that
I'll push back a little bit on one thing you said, which is I think if somebody's first profile pic is them in a bikini, that's not leading with sex. That's leading with, I like the beach. I like summer. I like being on the water. I don't go to,
well, you could do that.
This woman's obsessed with sex.
I didn't say obsessed with sex, but
I wouldn't even say it's leading with sex. The fact
it's leading this to me. And to me, then you're going to attract people who are primarily interested in getting to know your body and not much else. That's the way I interpret it.
I don't think I see it that way.
Okay.
I mean, I think, if it's a picture of her standing in her bathroom, taking a picture in the mirror while she's wearing a bikini, then it's like, okay, yeah, this woman's just looking for an excuse to show off her body. But if in context, she's at the beach playing volleyball or the beach getting some sun or something like that, where bikini is the proper uniform for the thing she's currently doing in the picture, then I don't think that it has anything to do with sex.
And I would agree with that. Right. And I guess that's kind of what I was trying to say was if you're making that the main focal point of the picture, but if it's something, you're on a jet ski,
right.
That's different.
Laying in a chaise lounge at the beach and you can see the sand and you can see the ocean in the picture.
Right, exactly. You are not the main focal point is not your body, right? At that point. That's the way, that's kind of what I was trying to say.
Okay. Then as long as you agree with me, then I agree with you.
I'll agree to agree.
We went over, but we'll go ahead and stop now. Again, I'll put a link to this. This is a great discussion. And if you care about being a better communicator and trying to get across what you're trying to get across and not distracting people with other stuff that is just noise, listen to this and do what she says. I'm going to definitely check out her book and try to learn more about her and from her, because I really think she's a pro. She knows her stuff. Vanessa Van Edwards, big fan.
Good
All right,
stuff.
thanks very much, Dan. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the entire episode of Mindfully Masculine. If you enjoyed this conversation or picked up a few new tools for better communication, we'd love for you to share it with a friend who'd appreciate it too. You can find every episode in both audio and video form at mindfullymasculine.com. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.